Strokes don't come with a warning label. They don't knock first. One moment, you're enjoying your morning coffee and reading the newspaper. The next, your hand won't move, your words don't come out right, or your balance is suddenly gone. It happens that fast. As a neurologist who spent over 3 decades treating older adults, I've seen this too often. But here's the truth no one tells you. In many cases, the stroke wasn't caused by genetics or by smoking or even by high blood pressure alone. It was triggered by something far more ordinary, something sitting right in their kitchen. Fruit. Yes, fruit. The very thing so many of us have been told is healthy, and often it is. But for people over 60, especially those on common medications or with aging kidneys, some fruits, when eaten regularly or in the wrong combination, can silently raise your stroke risk, even while you sleep. In this video, I'll walk you through the 5 fruits you need to watch out for, share real stories from patients, and show you what to eat instead to protect your brain, your memory, and your independence. So before you take that next bite, thinking it's just fruit, stay with me. What's in your fruit bowl might be more dangerous than you think. Bananas, the golden fruit that could raise your stroke risk after 60. Bananas, soft, sweet, easy to digest, and packed with potassium. For years, they've been considered the perfect fruit, especially for seniors. Heart-healthy, gentle on the stomach. But here's what most people over 60 don't realize. Too much potassium, especially with aging kidneys, can quietly raise your risk of a stroke. Let me explain. Potassium is essential. Your muscles, your heart, and your nerves need it. But as we get older, our kidneys naturally lose efficiency. Even if you've never been diagnosed with kidney disease, your ability to clear out excess potassium may already be reduced without you knowing it. And that's where the danger begins. If potassium builds up in your blood, it doesn't just sit there. It affects your heart rhythm. It can slow your heartbeat. And worse, it can constrict the small vessels in your brain, setting the stage for a stroke, especially during the night when your body is more vulnerable. Let me share a story I'll never forget. Mr. Charles Whitman was 78, a retired school bus driver from Indiana. Every night, he'd slice up a banana, drizzle it with honey, and enjoy what he called his heart-smart dessert. He had stage 2 chronic kidney disease. Nothing alarming, his doctor had said, but no one had ever told him that potassium could be a threat. One morning, Charles didn't wake up like usual. His wife found him confused, slurring his words, unable to move his left side. At the hospital, we discovered he'd had a stroke during the night. His potassium level? 6.2 millimoles per liter, well into the danger zone. That banana he trusted, it wasn't just fruit. Combined with his blood pressure medication, a potassium-sparing drug, it became the silent trigger that tipped his body into crisis. Charles eventually regained some mobility, but he never drove again. He told me, with tears in his eyes, "Doc, no one ever told me a banana could do this." This is why I speak up, because too many seniors are never told. If you're over 60 and eating bananas daily, ask yourself, do you know your kidney function? Are you on medications like Lisinopril or losartan? Has anyone checked your potassium levels lately? Because at 30, your kidneys might have handled that banana just fine. At 70 or 80, that same fruit could silently increase your stroke risk while you sleep. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness. And awareness gives you power. Still think a banana is harmless?
Wait until you hear what's hiding inside America's most beloved superfood, one that's often praised for heart health, but contains even more potassium than a banana. Let's talk about avocados.
Avocados, the superfood that's not so super for aging kidneys and brains. Avocados, creamy, trendy, and praised everywhere, from cookbooks to cardiologists as the ultimate heart-healthy food. They're rich in healthy fats, fiber, and antioxidants. But here's what almost no one tells older adults. Avocados are one of the most potassium-dense fruits in your kitchen, and they could be quietly overwhelming your aging body. One medium avocado contains nearly 1,000 milligrams of potassium, more than an entire banana. For a healthy 30-year-old, probably no problem. But for someone over 65, especially if you're on certain blood pressure medications or have even mild kidney issues, that's a heavy load your system may struggle to handle. As we age, our kidneys' ability to filter excess potassium declines. And the problem is, you won't feel it. There's no fullness, no bloating, no early warning signs. Potassium builds up in the blood, and then suddenly, dizziness, heart arrhythmia, or a stroke. Let me share a case that stayed with me. Mrs. Lorraine Keller, 81, was a retired piano teacher from Illinois. Vibrant, independent, still teaching kids in her neighborhood. Every morning, she made herself the same breakfast. Half an avocado on whole grain toast with a sliced tomato and just a pinch of salt. It looked like something out of a wellness magazine. But Lorraine also had high blood pressure and was taking Spironolactone, a potassium-sparing diuretic, a common prescription, but no one ever told her that combining it with avocados could be dangerous. One afternoon, she stood up from her couch and collapsed. Her husband called 911. In the ER, we found her potassium at 6.7 millimoles per liter, her heart in an irregular rhythm, and signs of a mini-stroke, a transient ischemic attack, a TIA. She survived, but something in her shifted. She told me at a follow-up visit, "Doctor, I thought I was eating right. I never imagined food could hurt me." Her confidence in the kitchen disappeared. She stopped going to church. She was afraid of passing out in public. And this is what breaks my heart. Lorraine wasn't reckless. She was trying to be healthy. But no one had explained that healthy at 30 isn't always safe at 80. If you're over 60, especially if you take ACE inhibitors like Lisinopril, ARBs like losartan, or potassium-sparing diuretics like spironolactone, you must be cautious with high-potassium foods. And avocado, for all its benefits, can silently tip your body out of balance. We're not just talking about bloating or indigestion. We're talking about arrhythmia, stroke, a hospital stay, a fall that changes your life. Still trust what's on your toast? Then you need to hear what's hiding in your morning glass of juice. Orange juice, the drink we've been told for decades is the key to a healthy start.
3. Orange and orange juice, the morning habit that could trigger a stroke. Let's talk about what's in your morning glass. For generations, orange juice has been America's symbol of health. It's bright, it's sweet, it's loaded with vitamin C. From New Jersey to California, it sits on the breakfast table like a daily dose of sunshine. But here's the hidden truth. For older adults, that glass of juice might be silently raising your stroke risk before you even finish your toast. Why? One word: potassium. An 8-ounce glass of orange juice contains over 470 milligrams of potassium, and that's not counting any whole oranges or fruit smoothies you may add to the mix. Now, potassium isn't the villain, it's an essential mineral. But in the morning, right after waking, your body is in a delicate state. Your blood vessels are still slightly constricted from sleep. Your kidneys may not yet be fully active. You're likely dehydrated. And if you've just taken your blood pressure medications, especially ACE inhibitors like Lisinopril or ARBs like losartan, you're already retaining more potassium than usual. This creates a perfect storm. I'll never forget Mr. Harold Green, age 79, a retired accountant from New Jersey. Every morning, like clockwork, he took his blood pressure pills and sat by the window sipping a tall glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. It was his quiet ritual, a moment of peace. But one morning, that peace was shattered. He stood up, got dizzy, and collapsed. His wife rushed him to the hospital. A CT scan showed he had suffered a mild hemorrhagic stroke, a small bleed deep in his brain. His potassium levels were elevated. His medication had caused retention, and the juice had pushed him over the edge. "I thought juice was good for me," he said, barely believing it. "I didn't know it could knock me off my feet, literally." That's the danger. Juice doesn't feel harmful. It tastes natural, comforting. But for the aging body, especially kidneys that are slowing down, it can trigger sudden blood pressure changes, vessel constriction, or even a bleed in the brain. And it's not just the juice. Whole oranges are also high in potassium, at about 230 milligrams per medium fruit. Eat 2 or 3 with breakfast, toss in a banana or some avocado later, and you've unknowingly gone way over your body's safe potassium threshold for the day. So if you're over 65, here's what I tell my patients. Juice is not just juice. It's a high potassium beverage, not water. If you're on blood pressure medication, be especially cautious. And if you've never had your kidney function or potassium levels checked, it's time to talk with your doctor. Because what you drink in the morning can affect your heart and brain in ways you don't feel until it's too late. Still think fruit can't hurt you? Then you haven't met the next danger. The tiny, sweet, natural snacks that seem too small to matter. Dried fruits. Let's talk about why they may be one of the most dangerous things hiding in your pantry.
4. Dried fruits. Tiny bites, big risks for your brain and heart. They're small, sweet, and come in cheerful little packets labeled heart healthy or natural energy. Dried apricots, raisins, prunes, figs. For many of us, these were childhood favorites, nature's candy, we used to call them. But if you're over 60, and especially if you're managing blood pressure or kidney function, I need you to understand something critical. Dried fruits are potassium bombs in disguise. Here's the science. When fruit is dried, the water is removed, but the nutrients, they're concentrated. A handful of raisins or dried apricots may look harmless, but inside they carry more potassium than a whole banana, and it takes almost no effort to overeat them. Let me give you the numbers. Just 5 dried apricots equals over 500 milligrams of potassium.
A small handful of raisins, nearly 600 milligrams. And they don't fill you up. You could snack on 2 or 3 servings without even noticing, until your body does. Let me tell you about Mrs. Marlene Fitzgerald, age 84, a retired librarian from Ohio. She came into my office complaining of lightheadedness and a strange, fuzzy feeling in her head. Nothing dramatic, just something she chalked up to aging. But then one morning, she nearly fainted during her walk. Her daughter brought her in. Her labs revealed elevated potassium and her heart showed early signs of rhythm disturbance. No bananas, no juice, but she had been snacking every afternoon on dried figs and dates, something she picked up from an article on natural energy for seniors. That simple habit nearly triggered a heart event and a stroke. "I just wanted something healthy," she whispered. "No one told me fruit could hurt me." And she's not alone. The biggest mistake I see in older adults is this: assuming natural means safe. But the aging body, especially kidneys and blood vessels, doesn't work like it did at 30 or 40. Your filter system is slower. Your heart is more sensitive. A little excess potassium every day adds up. You won't feel it. There's no warning label. But over time, your brain's blood supply becomes unstable, your heart rhythm shifts, and stroke risk climbs silently. So please, the next time you reach for that packet of prunes at the checkout line or sprinkle raisins over your cereal, ask yourself, how are my kidneys functioning? Am I on blood pressure meds like Lisinopril or Spironolactone? Have I had my potassium checked lately? These aren't just snacks. They're choices. And for someone over 60, every small choice adds up toward health or toward harm. And if you think that's alarming, just wait. Because many older adults are skipping juice, skipping bananas, skipping dried fruits, only to make one final healthy swap: coconut water. Let's talk about why this tropical drink, often marketed as nature's miracle, might actually be the worst offender of all.
Number 5. Coconut water. Nature's drink that may not be safe after 60. Coconut water. It's been called nature's Gatorade, the ultimate hydration, even a heart-healthy super drink. Walk through any grocery store and you'll see it packaged in sleek cartons, promising electrolytes, energy, and better health, especially for older adults. But if you're over 60, and especially if you're on blood pressure medication or have declining kidney function, you need to hear this clearly. Coconut water isn't just water. It's a powerful electrolyte drink, and it may be far too much for your body to handle. Here's why. A single 11-ounce serving of coconut water contains around 600 milligrams of potassium, sometimes more. That's more than a banana, more than a handful of dried fruits, more than your kidneys may be able to safely process in a day, especially first thing in the morning. And unlike plain water, coconut water alters your blood pressure, your heart rhythm, and your fluid balance. Let me tell you about Mr. Frank Delgado, 76 years old, a retired electrician from Arizona. Frank had always been mindful of his health. He read about coconut water online, saw it praised on TV, and decided to swap it in for his morning coffee. It felt like a smart choice, he told me. But here's what Frank didn't know. He was taking losartan, a common blood pressure medication that spares potassium.
His kidneys were functioning at about 65%, which is common for his age, but no one had warned him. And coconut water was sending his potassium levels up each morning, quietly, invisibly. After a week of daily coconut water, Frank collapsed while gardening. In the ER, his potassium was 6.5 millimoles, his heart was in an irregular rhythm, and his blood pressure had dropped so low he was barely conscious. An MRI showed he'd suffered a transient ischemic attack, a mini-stroke. It could have been much worse. When I saw him later, Frank wasn't angry, he was scared. He said something I'll never forget. "No one told me a drink could do this." And that's the heartbreak. Frank didn't make a reckless decision. He made an informed-looking choice with the wrong information. That's why I'm telling you this today. If you're over 60 and you take blood pressure medications like Lisinopril, losartan, or Spironolactone, have even mild kidney impairment, or simply haven't had your potassium levels or kidney function checked recently, then coconut water may not be the health drink for you. It's not just about hydration. It's about how your body now processes electrolytes. And after 60, that processing slows, often silently. You may not feel any symptoms until one day you faint, or worse, wake up unable to speak or move. Still think fruit drinks are always safe? Then let me show you something far more helpful, because now that we've uncovered what not to eat and drink, it's time to focus on what actually supports your brain, your heart, and your independence as you age. Let's talk about what you should eat instead, the fruits that heal, not harm.
6. What to eat instead. Brain-safe fruits that support you after 60. At this point, you might be wondering, if even fruits can raise my stroke risk, what's left that's actually safe? It's a fair question, and one I hear often from smart, caring patients who genuinely believed they were making healthy choices. But here's the good news. There are fruits that nourish your brain, support your heart, and respect the natural changes that come with age. You just need to choose the right ones and eat them in the right amounts. Let me share the story of Mrs. Carol Jennings, 73, a retired school principal from Arizona. She came into my office with a familiar frustration. I take walks, I eat fruit, I follow what they say, and still I feel foggy and tired. Her blood pressure was fluctuating, her balance was off, and she started to feel afraid to be alone in the kitchen or take the stairs. When we looked closer, the problem wasn't her effort, it was her fruit bowl. Bananas, oranges, dried mangoes, and avocado stacked high every week. Combined with supplements, combined with age-related kidney slowdown, it was simply too much potassium too often. We didn't put her on another pill. We simplified. Each morning, Carol switched to a calm, balanced breakfast. 1 hard-boiled egg, a slice of whole-grain toast, half an apple, a small handful of blueberries, room-temperature water. Some mornings, she'd switch the blueberries for strawberries or a few black grapes. All of these are fruits that are lower in potassium, rich in antioxidants, gentle on aging kidneys, and supportive of brain circulation and clarity. Within 3 weeks, something beautiful happened. Her energy came back. The fog lifted. Her balance improved, and more importantly, her confidence returned. She looked me in the eye and said, "Doctor, I finally feel steady again." Here's why those fruits work. Blueberries protect the tiny blood vessels in your brain. They're rich in anthocyanins, compounds that support memory and reduce oxidative stress.
Strawberries help lower inflammation and are easy on the kidneys. Apples, especially with the skin, are full of soluble fiber that supports heart health without raising potassium. Black grapes, in moderation, improve blood flow and support nerve signaling. Pears, often overlooked, are hydrating, high in fiber, and digestion-friendly. And pineapple, when eaten fresh and unsweetened, provides vitamin C without potassium overload. These aren't superfoods, they're safe foods. They don't promise miracles, but they protect what matters most: your clarity, your stability, your independence. Because here's the truth. The cost of getting this wrong isn't just feeling tired. It's a stroke, a fall, a hospital stay. But the reward of getting it right? Peace of mind, steady footing, a sharper memory, the freedom to live life on your own terms. So before you shop next, think not just about what's healthy in general, but what's healthy for you right now, at your age, with your medications and your unique body. And if this message has helped shift your perspective, stay with me. Because in this final section, I want to leave you with the most powerful truth I've learned after 30 years of working with seniors. Awareness, not pills, not fads, is the medicine that saves lives.
If you're still here, listening, then I want to thank you. Because you're not just someone curious about health. You're someone who cares about protecting your mind, your independence, and your future. And that matters more than any vitamin, any trendy diet, or any fruit labeled as super. As a doctor who has stood at the bedside of hundreds of older adults recovering from strokes, I'll tell you this: most of them didn't get there because of one big, obvious mistake. They got there because of small habits repeated every day with the best intentions. No one warned them that age changes everything: how your kidneys filter, how your blood vessels respond, how your brain tolerates pressure and chemicals in the body. At 30, your body adapts. At 70, it starts whispering to you, a little dizziness here, a moment of brain fog there. Not alarms, just gentle warnings, but only if you know how to listen. That's why I say this: awareness is your strongest medicine. Not fear, not perfection, just the simple act of noticing, asking, adjusting. Check the fruit bowl. Read the label. Ask your doctor, how are my kidneys doing? Look at your medications. Are they affecting potassium? And most of all, listen to your body. That dry mouth in the morning, that racing heart after breakfast, that moment of instability on the stairs, it's not just getting older. It may be your body asking for help in the only language it knows how. Because here's the truth no one tells you. The most dangerous thing isn't what you eat, it's what you assume is safe. But today, you've taken a different path. You've opened your eyes. You've asked the hard questions. You've chosen awareness over autopilot. And that changes everything. So tomorrow morning, when you stand in your kitchen, remember, your brain isn't protected by luck. It's protected by knowledge, consistency, and care. That's your new medicine. And it starts right where you are, with the fruit you choose, the questions you ask, and the way you love yourself enough to learn. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to share one thing you've learned today in the comments. Let's support one another, because health is a journey, and we're stronger when we walk it together. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. There's more to share, more to protect, and more life to live on your terms, with your clarity, and with your power. Thank you for watching. Take care of your brain, take care of your body, and most of all, take care of you.